What is up, you guys? Welcome to my channel. My name is Magali. If you're new here, I'm a personal trainer, and I also love to share my own experiences with losing weight, building muscle, learning how to eat, learning how to work out, all of those things in a very simple and easy to understand way. If you want to learn more about that, check out some of my previous videos. Don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss any of my future uploads. Like the video to let me and the YouTube algorithm know that you guys want to see more videos like this so that I can make more. It really does help my channel out, and it really does help support me, so I really appreciate it. Without further ado, let's just get right into the glute exercises that I no longer do. But here's the kicker. I'm actually going to tell you why, and I'm not just going to shit on these exercises for no reason, okay? Because that's very popular. Nowadays, I'm sure you guys have seen it all over. It's very popular to just sit there and bash exercises and bash people who do them and say it's useless, it doesn't do what you think it does, it blah, blah, blah. And I find that a lot of the times people don't post why they feel that way and what they recommend instead and what their thought process is, because here's the thing. Almost any exercise can be effective, like almost all of them. There's very few exceptions, but for the most part, most exercises have some validity depending on the context, depending on who we're talking about, you know, different abilities, different preferences, tools available, whatever. And so by you saying that this exercise is just bad, even though that exercise worked really well for her or for him, I think it's a disservice to not share why. But that's just me. I am going to tell you why I don't like these exercises, and I'm going to explain my reasoning for it, and hopefully you guys find that helpful. But I do want to say that these exercises aren't like bad and you're an idiot for doing them. It's just I have other ones that I like better for achieving the goal of growing your glutes. And that's another thing that I want to mention is I'm approaching this video and this list from the perspective of hypertrophy, growing the muscle tissue of the glutes. And that goal has a specific set of requirements and specific rules. With that in mind, this is why I feel this way about these exercises, because I think that for the main goal of glute hypertrophy, there are better options out there. So the first one is anything with that super thick fabric band. They can be the banded walks or adding them to your squats, your Romanians, or your hip thrusts. So the main problem with these bands, especially when you're actually walking and moving, is that there is so much tension on these bands that you literally cannot move. You can barely move your leg one step at a time. And yes, this does provide a burning sensation, and of course your glutes will get sore because they are working. It's not sufficient load to actually cause the muscle to do anything significant long term. And then when you're adding them to exercises that don't really align with the way the weight is moving, at worst, it's interfering with your performance, and at best, it's unnecessary. For example, adding a band to your hip thrust, you're having to focus on two different things. One, the weight going up and down, and then the band wanting to close your legs. So you're just naturally not going to have enough energy to truly contract those glutes upward, which is where the weight is. I just find that these bands are honestly rarely useful. I almost never touch them. I prefer the more elastic bands for things like this if I needed to use a band, because I can have more range of motion. But yeah, these thick bands are super restrictive. There's no range of motion. It's very hard, especially with the lateral walks, to put significant tension on the muscle. Like, it's just a sensation. It's not actually working and growing. It's just, yeah, if I stand there and squeeze my butt cheeks for an hour, they're going to hurt and they're going to be sore. That doesn't mean that I built any significant muscle there. So I just recommend don't wear them on exercises like squats and deadlifts and RDLs. These are wonderful exercises already. Just focus on perfecting your form, focus on going heavier over time, doing more reps, doing more weight, and the band is not going to be needed. You're still going to get really good gains. Basically, for the purposes of glute hypertrophy, they're not really that useful. The next exercise that I don't really like to do anymore is the single leg dumbbell Romanian deadlift. So it's not the fact that this exercise is bad. It has such a high stability demand. It is so unstable. You have to really focus on what you're doing or else you're gonna fall. And so it becomes really difficult to get the muscle to fatigue versus just overall you getting so tired, because you have to focus on balancing as well. It's really hard to go heavy. Again, you're always having to worry about falling over. And for the clients that are just beginners or have a really hard time with balance, these are horrible to give to them because it completely shoots down their confidence and they could actually physically fall. But I do like the single leg RDLs. I just either prefer to have a B stance, which is where I have a split stance. This allows me to put more emphasis on one leg over the other, or if I really want to get that single leg benefit but I want to have more stability, I just grab onto something. This is a great way to add more weight. You honestly feel it more because you're able to now really focus on hinging the hips back and really getting those glutes engaged. When you're just focusing so hard on balancing and not falling over, like again, your entire body is fatiguing, not your glutes, not the muscle that we're actually trying to get. So not the exercise that I don't like, it's just that specific variation of doing it. I do love B stance RDLs and the ones where you hold on. I think they're great and they do work out your glutes and they are very effective and they are very easy to go heavy on because of the additional support, which is one of the most important things to grow the glutes, is to get heavier weights over time. So just the single leg RDLs without any support, not really a fan of. Add some support and I like them. The next exercise that I'm going to talk about is anything wide stance. So this includes wide stance leg presses, wide stance sumo squats, even sumo deadlifts. The more wide your legs are pointing out, the more inner thigh we're going to get involved. It's not more glutes. That's a big misconception. Are you still getting your glutes involved? Yes, but now you're getting another muscle involved and it's not exclusively on the glutes now. So with the leg press, I just like a standard normal shoulder width apart, a little bit higher up on the plate, and trying to bend the knee as little as you can. That's going to put most of the emphasis on the glutes. When it comes to squats, just doing normal squats, those sumo squats just work out a lot of adductors, and then also it's really hard to hold weight once you get strong enough, so it's just better to work on the barbell or a squat machine with your normal stance slightly wider than shoulder width, nothing extremely wide, because again, we're just going to be getting the adductors, the inner thigh, not really more glutes. With the leg press, pretty much no matter what stance you choose, you are going to be using quads. It's just the nature of the exercise, but to make it more glute focused, that's where we kind of walk our feet up a little bit and we stay a little bit more neutral. Basically, the goal should be to bend the knee as little as you can control. The lower your knees go, the more your knee bends, the more quads are involved. So if you can stop right before the 90-degree angle or bring your feet higher, that's going to give you a little bit more of that glute emphasis, but wider stance is not more glute. I will say though, this is a wonderful way to have pregnant clients squat because it allows room for their belly to grow and have space. So this is one of those examples where this exercise would be very useful for a client. They should not be having any significant pressure on the belly, so that's a great way to avoid that. It's a very quick example of where this exercise would be really good, but it would still not be as much glute as it could be. It would just be kind of what we have to do with the situation that we're in. If you're not pregnant, if you can squat and deadlift just fine, a conventional stance is better. It does get the glutes more. It does work them out more. The sumo deadlifts in general are not great glute workouts because of the fact that they're a full body compound lift. There's multiple muscle groups involved. There's a lot going on, a lot of overall body fatigue. So the glutes are not the limiting factor. It's not what burns out at the end. It's kind of the entire body. But again, even sumo stance would involve even more of those adductors and less of those glutes, which is why I say sumo deadlifts, but just in general, I don't consider deadlifts to be a good glute exercise for specifically glute hypertrophy. And then the last one that I want to talk about is the side lying hip raises. So it's where you lay down on the bench and you kick your leg up and down to the side. So my biggest beef with these is that it's very hard to load them. Like, yeah, you can do weight and maybe even a light band, but at some point you're going to need something heavier, right? And you can keep adding plates to you or heavy dumbbells, but that gets really uncomfortable really fast. I don't think it's a great exercise to continue to progress on over time. What I do like to do instead of those, that's a very easy fix to that problem, is cable side kicks. These are much easier to set up. Also, you can add weight over time gradually, and you can really control the weight. It's not uncomfortably sitting on your leg or like crushing you or something, or falling off. Like, I've had that many times where I was doing those and like the plate literally slid off of me. To me, it just makes more sense to do an exercise upright because then you can have more control. You can really put more weight on there, put that tension on the glute the way that it needs to actually grow. Like with with those side lying ones, it would be really hard to progress over time, which therefore makes the exercise hard. It's hard to get the glutes to be really active with this exercise. It just makes more sense to go the easier route, to just stand up and go to the cable, than lugging around a weight and then laying on your side and then having to put it on, and then, you know, it just logistically makes sense to choose something that's a little bit easier to set up and can add load over time to get those glutes to grow as much as possible. So those are the 4 exercises that I have for you guys, and I hope that my explanations make sense. If you have any questions, want me to further discuss anything, leave me a comment below. A lot of the times we feel the need to overcomplicate exercises or add bands and add tools and add all kinds of things to make it interesting and fun, and that's fine. There's a time and a place for that, but I feel like we try to deviate so much from the basic movement that it then becomes less effective, in my opinion. So just, it's about simplifying and doing the basics really well, and throwing in some things, like if you like adding those really thick bands to your squats, like, you're going to be fine, it's not a big deal. But I just find that doing a really good heavy squat is going to be superior than a lighter squat with maybe okay form with the band on, you know what I mean? So that's kind of where I'm coming at it from. Again, these are not horrible exercises or things to do, it's just I have found better alternatives that I think grow the glutes better and provide better results. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did find it helpful, let me know by liking the video. Let me know if you agree with any of the ones that I said, or if you disagree, and tell me why. I'd love to hear your opinion on that. Don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss any of my future uploads. It really means a lot to me, and I appreciate your support. Also, if you know anybody who wants to up-level their glute routine and maybe is looking for this type of video, if you know anybody who would benefit from this video, I would appreciate you sharing it with them. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you as always, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out.